Welcome back. Today we're diving into a topic that so many people think they understand, but very few actually do: autism. For this episode, we're not going to define autism by a list of symptoms. We're here to explore what it means to live it, love through it, and understand it beyond the labels. When most people hear the word autism, they picture one version of it. But autism is a spectrum, not a single experience. Every person's brain processes the world in its own unique way, through sound, light, emotion, and connection. Some people might be highly verbal and logical, and others might find comfort in patterns or routines. Some might communicate through art, movement, or emotion rather than words, and none of that is wrong. It's simply different. The truth is, autism isn't something to be fixed. It's something to be understood. Today, I'll be joined by a special guest who will show us a little bit of insight into his daily life and will show us how he's using his autism diagnosis to his advantage. So without further ado, here we go. How are you doing today?
Good. How about you?
Not too bad. So I'm Allie. Thanks for coming today. If you want to just start by introducing yourself and then we can go on.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Sam Mitchell and I run a podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls. It's a podcast about autism and how you cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. Through the podcast, it's grown so much. I develop sponsors, a board, I do events in Indianapolis where I'm from, and motivational speaking services too.
Oh, wow. That's great. How long have you been doing the podcast for?
Since October 2019.
Okay, awesome. And you said that it's like all about your day-to-day life and things like that?
How we cope with daily struggles, but there's also some interviews on there. I've interviewed several professional wrestlers, several actresses, several AGT contestants, and then I've had some fun on the podcast by comparing stuff to autism, but it's really stuff I like and the hobbies of mine.
Oh, that's really cool. That's so cool. So, what do you wish more people understood, like what it actually means to be autistic?
I wish more people understood that being autistic means actually kind of fun and not derogatory. You get to be more creative than others and think outside the box.
Okay. And do you have any, I know you said you do have some everyday struggles, but what would be like the most common struggle for you throughout the day that maybe other people wouldn't realize?
The socializing.
Socializing.
Yeah, socializing in big groups. So, I mean, I went to a conference last week and I'm pooped out from it.
I can imagine. Wow.
And I have to do Thanksgiving family dinner today, and I'm wondering how the heck I'm going to do that. It's an early one because our cousin's back in town. I'm thinking, oh boy, don't hate my family or nothing. It's just I've done a lot of socializing. Can I just have a day where it's by myself, please?
Right. Yeah. You got to rebuild that battery back up.
Yeah, and the battery bandwidth for those on the spectrum of socializing is a bit low.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And what do you think some of your strengths are or uniqueness?
Well, one of the strengths that I see is I tell you how it is and what's going to happen. You may not want to hear it, but do I care? No.
That's good.
This podcast is called Unfiltered Feels. Well, I'll give you the unfiltered feel, period.
I like that. We need people like that, so that works. And then what do you think people who might be dealing with their self-acceptance or having an autism diagnosis, do you have any tips or pointers for them to help, boost them up or help them to figure out that maybe because they're different, it's not actually a bad thing, like you said?
I would say the biggest tip I can give is use your autism to your advantage. There's something out there for everyone. We used to believe when I was younger, my special interests were obsessions, but now we call it practicing for future skills because those skills that they're doing over and over and over again, and that's all they want to talk about, can lead you to something. For the longest time, I talked about professional wrestling. Where does it led me to be today? Interviewed and known the knowledge so I can interview 11 professional wrestlers.
Yeah, that's really cool. Congratulations on it. That's a big thing. And how do you feel like you handle situations where maybe you're feeling misunderstood?
Well, getting misunderstood, first of all, really does stink. But I think the way I handle the misunderstandings is I just try to educate by telling them the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And also, okay, instead of telling you, let me show you what I can do. You've heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. Well, I use that phrase as much as I can.
Okay, that's a good idea because you're right. Actions, in my opinion, actions do speak louder than words because you can tell me you're sorry a million times, but if you continue to do it. Do you feel like there's still a lot of misinformation around autism out there?
Yeah, I feel like if you go online, they got a lot of bad stuff, but not a lot of good stuff. They'll tell you have meltdowns, but they won't say what to do what about the meltdowns. They'll just say they're gonna have meltdowns. Thank you. Have a nice day. Not the
Mm.
case. We need to know what to do.
And are you able to um, tell your family, how they can support you, or was that hard to do at first?
Hard into me at first. Then they taught me how to self advocate for myself. And I would say I've been self advocating since I was about 8 or 9.
Okay. And how would you empower, others to maybe self advocate for themselves?
Well, I don't think you really can get around it unless you want to be screwed. You have to do it because if you don't, the system isn't going to come to you. Sometimes you have to come to the system by asking the teacher kind of the modified vocabulary test because as an adult, it's our responsibility. That's how we grow up. So I can't really give you life of wisdom other than the biggest slap on the back and say, it's part of growing up, deal with it.
That's good because sometimes, my family, sometimes, there was like, oh, okay, it's okay, just keep going. But maybe if I would have just kind of sat down and did it, it would have been a little bit different for me. Um, but that's okay. And then, let me see. Do you know of any resources for people that are like good resources for them to look up maybe online to see a little bit more about themselves or how to help?
I know speech therapy is a good one. I'll give you that one right there. And then I know a lot of ABA therapy. I've heard mixed reviews about it, but I've heard nothing but positive. So I'm not going to say go to ABA. If ABA doesn't work, don't use it, but it's worth a shot, in my opinion. And then speech therapy is something else I believe I said, if I remember correctly. And then try another resource for you. A lot of online resources if you look really hard, because I have, through my podcast, been able to find some really good online resources. You just have to figure out if they tell you how it is, make sure they're giving you a solution too, or they're not being so negative that they're blaming the child with autism because some behaviors is not their fault. Believe me, we wouldn't have meltdowns if we couldn't help it.
Right, right. Okay. And do you have any specific strategies that help you either calm you down or cope with anything?
Lots of music, lots of music, lots of music, lots and lots and lots of it, and getting away from people.
Okay. So that alone time is necessary for you.
Yep.
Okay. Um, well, we went through all of my questions that I had so far. So is there anything you want to share or anything?
Well, I mean, something I can share is I know a TEDx talk we had to do it virtually because of COVID, but it's still qualified as a TED talk. You can find that on my website, which is where you can find me too on autismrocksandrolls.com.
Okay. Perfect. And is that where they can find the information for your podcast and all of that too?
Yep, they can find everything on there.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I'm just making sure. I feel like you touched on all my questions, so thank you for that.
What can I say? I do. My answer is short but sweet.
Hey, you know what? That's okay.
And you're unlike my friend, though. He's pretty good at elaborating. Me, I'm like the polar opposite. I just tell you how it is. And then there you go. Have a nice day.
Right? That's okay. Well, it works out for you because now you get some time back, hopefully, to rest before your Thanksgiving a little bit.
A little bit. I probably will have to eat some breakfast beforehand and got some other work to do. So not a whole lot of resting, but I did a little bit last night before I came up with my family.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving and then a good Christmas too, okay?
All right. You too,
All right.
buddy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now.
I always love hearing stories like that because I am struck by how much growth happens when we just start listening without trying to fix everything. I think he's going to be a great resource to everyone out there who's listening who might be struggling with their diagnosis or who might be feeling like just because they're different, that their life is going to be very different from everyone else around them. But he is proof that he's not letting his diagnosis control him. And in fact, he's using it to his advantage, as he stated. So let's get back to it. Autism isn't just a diagnosis. It's a way of experiencing life. It's feeling the world differently, sometimes more intensely, sometimes more beautifully. And yes, it can be hard, but it can also bring out the most authentic kind of love and creativity that doesn't just rely on words, eye contact, or expectations. Sometimes presence is just enough. As we heard earlier, he needed time to reset. He needed time alone. And his family members honor that, and that shows a different kind of love to him that he needs, that he knows to recharge his battery. When we take time as family members or friends or even strangers to understand someone else's world, we realize that communication isn't about changing them. It's about meeting them exactly where they are. Whether you're a parent, a sibling, teacher, or a friend, you can help build a world that's more inclusive for people with autism. Here are some small but powerful ways. Listen more than you label. Not every silence needs filling. Advocate with empathy. Ask how you can support them rather than assuming. And empower them to be their own advocate. We learned that was a very powerful thing with our guest speaker. Learned from the lived experience. Autistic voices are the experts. Follow them, read about them, and amplify them. They're the ones living this day in and day out. And maybe some of them aren't as vocal about it, or maybe some of them don't want to speak about it, but there are people out there who would like to speak about it and who would love to answer your questions, especially if you don't understand. And last but most important, probably, let go of perfection. Progress might not look like what you expected, but that's okay. Be there, supportive, listening, caring, and maybe you'll learn something along the way. To anyone listening who's walking through this journey, whether you're autistic yourself or someone you love is, you're not alone. Your story matters, your experience matters, and you deserve to be seen exactly as you are. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you'd like to share your story for an upcoming episode, you can find my guest form in the link. All right, that's it for today. Next week, we're going to talk about why one size does not fit all when we're talking about mental health. And it's a conversation we all need to have. Thank you for being here, for being human, and for letting yourself feel. Just a reminder, this podcast is all heart, not healthcare. Please talk to a professional for medical advice. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon at Unfiltered Feels Podcast. Share this with someone who needs it, or leave a review. And don't forget, the things you're feeling, you're not alone. I'll see you next time.